How many times in the past year that you're in a online meeting, you think you're home alone, but the next thing you know, you hear your kid and your wife screaming in the background. All you want to do is get up and close the door so you don't have to listen to this screaming, but you're deep into the conversation and it would be extremely rude for you to get up and close the door. Well, this is where the idea stemmed from. Personally, I've had this experience a bunch of times over the past year, and I've wanted something to close the door automatically by pushing a button on my computer. Well, after looking online for the longest time and could not find anything that existed currently on the market, I decided to build it myself.
Warning.
I went through a lot of different designs over the last couple months. I swear I felt like Thomas Edison because I tried so many different ways. This is the final design, and I consider this 95% done. I would like to add some type of housing around the motor and the relay and the wiring just to make it a little bit more safe. In the future, I'm also going to try to make a DC powered motor with a battery option. This currently is using your household power. So disclaimer, once again, this is not for everybody. If you don't feel comfortable playing with electronics and having electronics out in the open, if you have young kids, do not do anything like this. You do this at your own risk. I'm not going to bore you guys with all the different designs that I went through. If you guys want to see a full video of all the things that I went through, I'll put that on the extras channels. Just let me know you want such a video, and I'll make sure to do that. To build this out, it's quite simple. These are the things that you will need. You're going to need an AC motor. The way that I found this was just searching for an AC motor that was high torque. I accidentally bought this, and not knowingly, but this 3-port, 3-wire design is exactly what we need because we need to reverse this motor. One of the issues I originally had was that once you turn the motor, that motor is locked in place, and when you try to open the door again, you're not able, or you're going to break something. So you actually have to turn back the motor, which you do through automations, which I'll show you once we get this all together. I'll show you how I did that through automations. So this is the one that I picked. It is 15 revolutions per minute. They had ones that were like 100 revolutions. They had one that was 1 revolution per minute. I kind of took a gamble, and 15 revolutions is perfect for this type of project. Obviously, you will need to mount this. So this is the mount that is designed for this and the screws that go with it. You'll also need some screws and possibly some wall anchors so you can mount the motor to the wall. And you have to power that motor, so I have an AC power wire. I bought the one that has a switch in the middle because I was tinkering around with this. I wanted an easy way to turn it off and on, but you might want to get one without the switch in the middle. From the motor, you need to take that power, and because this has to be mounted away from the door just because it won't fit, you need to get like this flexible rod. It's actually made for drill bits. You put your drill on this end, and then you put your bit on this end. This will go from the motor like this. We'll have a coupling in the middle. We'll need a 7 to 8 millimeter coupling, and then the other end, we're going to need an 8 to 10 millimeter coupling. I almost forgot, you gotta have this little bit. This is just a 1/4 inch bit that go on this end of the extender, and that way this goes into the next piece, which will be this 8 millimeter to 10 millimeter coupling. We get into the actual door closer. Through a few of these door closers or door stoppers, this is the one that had the most surface space, so I can actually make sure the bit or the coupler stays on it. This is from a company called Nuke 3Y. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. You're actually not going to be using this top piece at all, so you can actually unscrew this and taking this top piece off. Not going to need it at all. And then this is going to go into the door hinge, and this is going to be physically closing your door. And remember, I said once you close the door, you actually have to turn this back, otherwise you won't be able to open the door. So once it turns one way through automations, you're going to tell it to turn back. And the way that you do that is with the Shelly 2.5 relay, and this thing is remarkable. It is super cheap. I think this was like 25 bucks, and for what this thing can do is well worth it. Plus, this is UL listed. So for those who like those UL listed products, this has it. Unfortunately, of course, the motor does not. Now, this is not native to HomeKit. I'm going to show you how to get this into HomeKit though, and there is a way to do it through Hoobs. I tried, but I was not successful for the way that I need to set this up. But there is actually a third-party download, a new firmware that you can put on here that will add HomeKit to this and actually turn it into a bridge. It's actually free firmware, but it was so good that I did make a donation. I'll put a link to it. Hopefully they'll keep it free, but even if they don't, I'm sure it will just be a couple bucks. Of course, you will need some AC wiring. I just had some left over from a project. You'll also need some type of wire nut. I like the ones with the little lever. You can easily get the wire in and push it down with no trouble at all. And let's go ahead and talk about the tools you'll need. You'll need a small hex key, otherwise known as an Allen wrench. You'll need a 9/32 deep socket and ratchet, a Phillips head screwdriver, a small flathead screwdriver, some wire cutters, and possibly some wire strippers if you can't strip the wires with the wire cutters. Alright, first thing you want to do is put the motor on the mount. So the way I have mine designed, I just have it on top. Yeah, it's a hot day. I'm hanging in the sunshine. Okay, now you need a coupling. The 7mm is going to be for the motor, and the 8mm is going to be for the socket extender. It's hard to tell which one's which, so just try both sides, and the one that does not fit into the socket extender is the 7mm. Send a blink, I could go for some queen bee too. Bass is going boom boom. So now we have the motor and the flex drive. And now we put in this 1/4-inch bit. This comes out, don't worry about that. Now you can attach this to the door pin. Go ahead and cut your wires. You probably need a longer one and a shorter one. About that. And then with the white, about 50-50 on the white. Go ahead and strip both ends. On the whites, I'll need one longer end, and then the other end, it can be pretty short. And then on the blacks, they can be short on all the sides. Alright, let's take our AC wire, and we're going to take the side that is the positive. You can see that has the writing on it. So this is your positive side. Split this apart, just so I have enough room to play with it. And we are going to connect that to one of the line inputs. So you can see that this is sticking out, so I'm just going to have to trim this up a little bit. Strawberry lime, you know I want to share it with you. Bass is going boom boom. There we go. And once we have it in there all the way, go ahead and tighten it down. And one neutral is going to go into the neutral here on the relay. And second neutral wire will go into the center port of the motor. And the other 3 neutrals, the one from the wire and the 2 white wires that are left over, will all go into the wire nut. You know everybody's looking for a ride in the water slide. And now we're going to go from the 2 to this one, and then this one from the 1 to this wire, or to this hole right here. It's getting kinda crazy up in here. Got that DJ playing music everybody wants to hear, yeah. It's getting kinda crazy up in here. Everybody wants a ride in the water slide. 3, 4. Okay. And that is all the wiring. Alright, time to plug this in and make sure the switch is on, and you should get a low red light in the back of the relay. You'll want to download the Shelly app, but you don't connect the device to your Wi-Fi through the Shelly app. You actually go to your Wi-Fi settings and connect to the switch that way first. Go ahead, click on the Shelly device you see in your Wi-Fi settings, and once you're connected, go ahead and open up your favorite browser. Go to 192.168.33.1. Then once that opens up, go ahead and click on Internet and Security. click on Wi-Fi mode / client, and that's where you're going to enter your Wi-Fi SSID and password. Go ahead and hit save, and now go back to your Wi-Fi settings and switch back to your home network. Once that's done, go ahead and open up the Shelly app. Now click the ad. Go ahead and name it. You can assign it to a room. You can add a device picture or upload your own. What type of device it is, it's either a relay or a light. This is going to be a relay. And then hit save. And now we're going to add it to the cloud. That way we can use this with Alexa and Google. Fortunately, this won't work with HomeKit. I'll show you how I got this into HomeKit in just a moment. There we go. Now it's added to the cloud. Now let's go ahead and set this up with HomeKit. To do that, there's two ways. One is using Homebridge or Hoobs. I actually tried that way and I just could not get it working the way that I wanted to. So there's actually software or new firmware that you can download that you can put on this, and it works great. Unfortunately, with this new firmware, you do lose access to the Shelly cloud. So if you're going to use that separately, unfortunately, this relay will not communicate with the Shelly cloud anymore. It will only communicate with HomeKit. To do this, the first thing you want to do is get the IP address. You can simply go into the Shelly app, go into your device, go into settings, and at the very bottom, you have device information with your IP address. Now that we have that, let's jump on the computer. Once you have the IP address, go ahead and type that in, and it'll bring up the Shelly UI. You're going to have to go to this website to download the firmware, which I'll put a link down in the description below. And we're going to have to get this zip file right here. We're going to copy this, and we're going to put this into a new window. And we need to replace this ABCD with our IP address, which is right there, and we're going to replace it just like that. And we have too much stuff. HTTP. All right, we should be good. Hit enter. And now we're going to give it about a minute. Sometimes it takes 2 minutes. And then we're going to come back into this IP address and you'll see the new firmware. All right, we do a refresh and there we go. All right, so this is what the new firmware looks like. We have switch 1, switch 2, HomeKit settings, Wi-Fi settings. Now you can put this back into the roller shutter mode, but unfortunately when you do the calibration, it's not by time, it is only by how much wattage, so it has to hit something and the watts have to go up, is from my understanding. It just did not work correctly, it's just too noisy and the motor was going for too long. So I'd rather do this through automations, so I'm just going to keep it as a switch. So we're going to have switch 1 and switch 2. Not quite sure which direction is which just yet, so we might have to switch this later, but we're going to simply just keep this simple switch 1 and 2. So the first thing you want to do is to go ahead and bring this into HomeKit. You're going to make up your own HomeKit code. I'm just going to use 222-33444 and go ahead and hit save. Now let's go ahead and go into the Home app, hit the plus in the top left, hit add accessory, and we do not have a code, so we're going to say we don't have a code. And you can see the switch automatically shows up. Go ahead and hit on it, and it's going to warn you that it's uncertified device. We're going to hit add anyways and type in our HomeKit code 222-33444 and hit continue. Now this is going to connect to a bridge. That's right, this device is also going to make its own bridge. How brilliant and useful is this thing? And only for what? I think it's like $25. Let's go ahead and add this to the room. It's the master bedroom. And now we're going to name the bridge device. So we're going to call this Shelly Master Bridge. Hit continue. All right, we have the first switch. We're going to hit continue. We're going to put this back into the same room, master room. We're going to name the first switch door, and we're going to display it as a switch. And then the second switch we're going to put back into the master bedroom, and this one is going to call reset. And this is a switch. So now if we go into the master bedroom, we'll see the door right there and the reset. Now that these things are in HomeKit, we need to automate it to make sure it shuts for 5 seconds and then resets for about 3 seconds. Now, one of the ways I actually tried to do it is in the firmware with the auto off sequence, but unfortunately when I actually tried to do this, it did not work. So hopefully they'll fix this issue that's having with the firmware, but you can still do this with the Home app and convert to shortcuts. Let me show you how. Alright, we're going to go into the Home app, click on Automations, hit the plus, and we're going to say, and accessory is controlled. We're going to say when the master door is turned on, go ahead and convert this to shortcuts. And that's all the way down at the bottom. Convert to shortcuts. First thing we want to do is add a wait command because we want the motor to run for 5 seconds. So we're going to add the wait command and then we're going to turn off that motor. So we're going to go back into the master bedroom and turn off the door. Door is off. I like to add a wait command in between turning the motor from one direction to the next direction. So I add another wait command for 1 second. And then we're going to go ahead and turn on the reset, which will turn the motor the other way. So now we're going to do the reset switch. We're going to turn on. And we're going to have this on for 3 seconds. So we need to wait 3 seconds. And then turn it back off. Reset. And then turn it off. So just to refresh, when the master motor is turned on, we're going to wait 5 seconds, which means it's going to run for 5 seconds. It's going to turn off, wait 1 more second, turn on the reset for 3 seconds, and then turn off. We're going to hit next, and we can test this automation. We're going to hit done. Hey Siri, turn on the master door.
Okay.
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Boom! There we go. Works perfectly. Let's go ahead and put this on the door. Go ahead and knock out one of your hinge pins. If you have 2 hinges, I would do the top hinge. If you have 3, I would do the middle hinge. And then go ahead and install the new hinge pins with the closer, the coupling, and the little bit. And then you want to find the best place to install the motor. You want to make sure it's out of the way, it's not going to hit anything, and that you can fully close the door. And let's not forget about the power. You will need an outlet nearby. If you don't, you're going to have to run an extension wire. Fortunately for me, I had an outlet there, so it was nice and easy. It was actually kind of hidden by the door, so it all worked out for me. Hopefully soon we'll have a DC power version. If you guys know any DC power motors that would work in this setup, please let me know down in the comments. And you want to make sure this flexible part is not going to hit the door. And then once you find that perfect location, go ahead and mount it to the wall. In my setup, I need a little piece of wood just to help keep it flush, and plug it in and you're set to go. Let's go ahead and give this a shot. Hey Siri, turn on the attic door.
Okay, the attic door is on.
Why do you call it attic door? When you said attic door, I thought you meant the attic. My room.
Hey Siri, turn on the attic door.
Okay, the attic door is on.
And of course you can open it right up, just like that. Boom. And it's reset. Another thing that I learned in the process of building this is that this device could save your life in the event of a fire. So they say sleeping with your doors shut at night could save your life, but no one likes to do that, especially young kids. They get scared if your door is shut, if their door shuts, no one does it. But what you could do if you have a smart smoke detector is to set up an automation. I actually tested this out with my first alert smoke detector and it worked perfectly. Now obviously this is not going to work in every case. If it's electrical fire or if the Wi-Fi goes out, this won't work. But I still think this is a good start. There's still things I want to do to this model. I want to get some housing around it, make it a little bit safer. If you guys try this, let me know if you built some housing for it just to make sure it's safe for kids. And also, if you find a DC power motor that would work in a setup like this, definitely let me know down in the comments below. Alright guys, I hope you liked this type of video. If you did, hit that like button down below. I want to thank all my Patreon members. These guys are awesome. I truly appreciate every single one of these guys. And if you guys want to learn about becoming a Patreon member and the benefits, definitely check out my Patreon page. Thanks for watching guys. I will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.
No, nothing can break me.